Hello everyone and welcome back. Just your friendly neighborhood Bachokolio back again. Just your friendly neighborhood Bachokolio. Sorry about that, I forgot to mute the actual stream on my side. But anyway, so today on the menu we have this guy, as usual. This will be the last time you're seeing him being painted on stream. And we'll play around with the metallics today, mostly. If for some weird events I actually managed to go through all of the metallics, which I strongly doubt because it's gonna be a lot of laborious trim work. I can play around with the reds a little bit more and sort of smooth out these blocky highlights, which, considering the time I spent, last time, should not look like that. Anyway, right, so I think I'm gonna start off with the golds because it's a quicker thing, we can just get it over with. Base coated him in bronze, which isn't possibly the best solution, but I found out it works pretty well, in that it allows me to work off of that ever elusive high contrast for metallics that I'm looking for, with the goal of having them remain highly contrasty after the matte varnish has been applied. So we'll see if I can make lightning strike twice. So I think I finally got the hang of these pots. Not to drop too much paint at once, which I've been doing a lot of, and I've been wasting a ton of paint for what's apparently no reason at all. So let's switch to the shittier background contrast so you can actually see what it is that I'm doing. Also, I brought down the brightness a little bit on the camera, and I think we're getting a little bit of a better color definition. Let me know if this is how you prefer to have it, or if the previous one was good enough. I keep forgetting that exposure and brightness are two separate things. And don't necessarily translate the same way. So just some basic edging here and there on the base. Leave a little bit of that bronze showing up, really. Also going to have to do some touch-ups on the boots because, as usual, I made wrong decisions. far as the sequence of application, but that is somewhat fine. Actually, I don't really think I'll need more than this highlight. Bright enough as it is. So, with the proper application of shadows and lining, oh, shadows through lining, some manual black lining here and there, I'll be able to make it pop sufficiently for our needs and purposes. So part of me was thinking to do this, little bit of extra thought put into it is make it so I got the base stuff done first, so I can apply the washes, which are going to be fairly thick, and let them dry so I can build them up again and get two birds with one stone. Overall, though, the amount of time I'll be saving is negligible. So it doesn't really matter that much. Or at all, to be quite frank. And yeah, these are horrendously bad highlights right now. All I want from them at this point is to be a little bit on the stark side of things. So that they will show through several words, layers of wash. And since I'm going for a very grungy and dirty looking base, I don't mind it looking like this. The bad news is that I'm having a little bit of a problem focusing today. And I'm not really sure why. It probably has to do with the fact that, again, I had a workout before painting, which causes all sorts of troubles. For someone who is already, sorry, somewhat visually challenged, like myself. But I'm sure that as a little time goes on during the stream, will normalize themselves to an extent. Also might be that I've, as usual, placed my lighting in a shitty angle. Usually also doesn't play very well. Try this. Maybe, I don't know. So we went through all the basic parts. Now move on to the actual model. I would have changed the palette paper today, but I forgot to make new cuts. So while I do have an extra sheet of the old palette paper, I usually reserve that for a template before making the new ones, and then use it. Something I'll have to do maybe after the stream, or maybe tomorrow, whenever I get the time, really, but it should be soon, because I am running the fuck out of them. Now, in other news, possibly less interesting, and something that really doesn't bear point being stated while I'm the only person around, but feeling a bit talkative today, so wouldn't mind repeating myself for anyone watching the VODs or the YouTube uploads. I apologize in advance that you might hear some of the information several times over the course of this stream, but this is pretty much what happens when you have somewhat limited viewership. So the Dark Future Creations Kickstarter that I've been raving on about for a while has finally gone live, with very little fanfare about it, which is weird. Like, these people do not know how to market their own shit, which might play them a bit of a bad surprise at some point. That's coming from me, and I am really not an expert in this, since my current viewership can attest to that. So anyway, they did go live, and I was planning on getting Kirk in 28mm scale, but here is where the butts start showing off. So, dumb issue number 1. To back the Kickstarter for a single 28mm model, which is an existing pledge, so it's cool, is about $15 US, and that's $16 for a single 28mm scale model. During Kickstarter, now, considering Kickstarter should have some sort of added value, I am not lost to see that price tag, regardless of the quality of the model and whatnot, which I'm sure is great and all, and it has the extra added customization bits, so it's not exactly just one model, but they're design specific, so actually using those leftover bits in any practical way will be well, not very feasible. So what we're left with is to consider a 28mm model at a $16 price tag. which granted again is something that I would be using as a leader for my gang. And then there is the location problem. So they are a Canadian-based show. I am situated in Eastern Europe, thankfully part of the Union. But even so, estimated shipping costs come at $15. Now again, this is for a single model 28mm, which brings the entire price up to $31 US. And that's a bit much. It's just not feasible for something that's more of a curio rather than anything else. So unfortunately, while I did have the goodwill to support them, I'm going to have to miss out on this Kickstarter. It's a shame because I've been raving on about it for a while. But it's just not going to work, unfortunately. Now, if you're wondering why the hell I'm painting the grenades in gold, I'm actually going to try something with them. Something rather simple, but I don't recall ever trying that, at least not on stream. What I'll be doing is painting over the metallic buildup with a normal paint and try and make it look like painted metal. Now, of course, that works better with a silver metallic in general, but a gold will give it, hopefully, theoretically, a nice candy like quality, and might be fun to see how that works. And if it works, it is a fairly small surface that I'm doing this on, just grenade heads. And it will be simple enough to fix if it goes wrong. I'll just reduce the transparency or increase the opacity, which way you would prefer to formulate it. And then I'll go over and highlight it the standard way, but I just thought about trying something a little bit different. On a small scale, small surface. So we should be good. There is a little bit of cleanup, which is unfortunate. I'll have to do here because I lost control of my own brush and it spilled over into the reds that I've been building up, which is a little bit annoying. But whatever, what do you... Also the flesh got some spills, especially around the hair part of it, and a little bit on the shoulder. on this shoulder right here, although I don't think it'll register as much once the matte varnish is applied. On the topic of varnishes, I actually went through with, was it Ogrecan? I think it was Ogrecan. Ogrecan's suggestion to use mineral spirits and dunk the frosted models into it. Shake, get them out, and let the mineral spirits dry. And it did lightly, ever so slightly, reduce the frostiness, and I'm pretty sure that if I were to do this about a couple more times, would have worked out just as well. But it was a fairly time-taking process because, as you probably know, mineral spirits tend to take their time whenever drying is concerned. And we're actually done with the gold. How about that? So I looked around to see what I could do without necessarily having to effectively restart the entire varnishing process. And I thought to myself, what is the closest thing to a matte medium that I have available that isn't exactly matte varnish? And I actually went over the models with a thin, watered down layer of Lamian medium. And that pretty much solved it, so I am very stoked about this. Now if I screw up again, I'm gonna try and go with the Lamian medium straight away instead of going through the step with the mineral spirits. Let's see if it'll have a similar effect. If that's the case, then it would be just a matter of me learning how to use a fucking airbrush, applying this varnish in a not so barbaric way that it would frost over. So yeah, in addition, playing around a little bit with the airbrush. I think I may have had a tiny little breakthrough on its potential utility, although it may not be absolutely applicable in the case of the varnishes and or primers, or otherwise said, the thicker stuff. I'm able to maintain a decent pressure on the trigger for the airflow. Less of what I do, which is press it. Variate with the paint distribution with the paint debit. Should technically end up with a fine enough threads that the model should come out well following the varnishing. Something else I might try with these guys, with this batch of dudes, or this one in particular, just to see how it works, would be go for a straight up gloss varnish as a first step instead of satin. Also give both varnishes a much sturdier shake. Although the rattle can, I think I shake well enough, but I am not getting the same amount of rigor in my shakes to the matte varnish because it's fairly liquidy already, and it's not under pressure, not in a pressurized tube or anything. It's not an aerosol. I didn't think it's required, but maybe that's the art of the key to success, would be to shake that more better. Well, these are some things to try, especially now that I have a somewhat surefire way of fixing mistakes with varnishing. I am a little bit more comfortable with experimenting. Now what I'm doing is just cleaning up wherever spills happened over the metallic. So we are going to be all set and good for the highlighting. And I think we're about done with that. Like, again, sorry. The straight up process of highlighting. Hopefully, I noticed that on the previous dude I forgot what I always do, which is apply a layer of Seraphim sepia on these exhausts that give it a little bit of a warmed up, heated up, heat stained metal. I hope I will not forget to do so now, but who the hell knows? Night is young. Either way, we are going to try and do as much as possible on this guy today, as it is his last stream day. I'll be going straight for a silver metallic here, just a bright silver. I'll skip the lead belcher step this time and A to see what happens. B to hopefully optimize one of the steps. And overall, there's really very little that would benefit the use of lead belcher, because again, most of the metallics, as you can see, so barring the blade and the back brace, whatever thingy, most of it is just detailing and trims. Even the gun here, the gun, have the camera set up, garbage. Either way, And that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go straight up, and with the black, I'm gonna start introducing some shadows, although I don't think we'll get for this, because when I start black lighting, I totally try and just do the entire model, not just the metallics. So we'll see how that goes. A miracle happens and I get very efficient very quickly, which would be now what? Close to a miracle. And I managed to go through the touch-ups to the reds. Probably the blue. Now the blue I can leave for later, you don't need to see that. It's gonna be interesting, and it doesn't interfere with any of the other work that needs to be done, so probably okay. Okay, so just trying to catch some of the lights. These annoying as hell trims. Really don't like doing them, but they do have a decent effect, so I'm stuck with having to go through with them. And again, because of how small they are, as in surface-wise, there really isn't any justification for me to go with multiple highlights. It just will not be visible, especially when I lay down the varnish of doom. Because thankfully the dark silver metallic is dark enough that it gives us a very hard contrast, which is good. We want that to get until we possibly make it, maybe. As usual, that you don't really understand. So results may vary. They truly the negative or neutral spectrum. I'll just deal with whatever we get. Yes. Okay. Now these holes I've left on purpose. Filled up with a bright metal. Hopefully not. Not screwing up the actual red around them. I think I managed to survive. Great, so that is, as a matter of fact, one boot. Oh yeah, and I also need to punch up this. I completely forgot about treating it while doing the rest of the red. I am a forgetful boy, apparently. In my defense, we did have 2 whole raids last time, is massively unusual. And that threw me off my rhythm a little bit. Saying that in the best way possible, of course. Very enjoyable experience. Likely impacted my already torturously, painfully slow progress curve. Getting Mr. Dude done. But the way things are looking up, that will not be anything to worry about today. Might as well. Do our stuff, which is painting, clearing our throat all the time. I think it might be the air here is very, very dry, and it is contributing. Gargly voice. Aside from the obvious, not talking the whole day and consuming an inordinate amount of cigarettes, which I will not deny has an effect on the voice. In other news, much as it can be called news, I did manage to go through most of what's been released, well, leaked technically, for the new Blood Bowl stuff, new Blood Bowl rules and all that. And I think I'm in a pretty good spot to start trying out some games under the new rules. And I talked to Agent Orange last time. So if he gets off from work in a time where there would be any gaming venue that would accept us, we would visit it and give the new rules a try. I'm still very much on the fence about some things about that I already own. Such as, well, I will need to get some halflings for my human team. That's just a given. I will not miss the opportunity to take advantage of the throw teammate option that is now being made available to human teams. With, of course, very questionable technical utility, but it might just be something fun to do, and it would be another neat little way of giving the ogre some well-deserved SPPs. Development-wise, will be very important. The way the new SPP and progression system will work is going to be very good in many ways, and if anyone gives a damn about that or happens to play Blood Bowl, I would be getting into the details. But it was a different topic that I was sort of trying to go into, and that is my human team has been painted 3 years ago, back in 2017, and it was built and painted under a little bit of pressure because I was playing with the team in a league while I was painting it, and that did lead to some issues along the way, naturally. Things like unvarnished base coats, chipping, and the slight accumulation of finger oils that made paint adherence worse. Because yes, that actually is a thing. If you handle your model too much, actually one of the reasons we use these hobby holders of various types, forms, shapes, and descriptions. In my case, just a bunch of paint pots that came with the airbrush that I will never ever use. I tried them, they suck, so I'm not gonna use them. And they make very good ones. Only problem is they are just about the diameter of a 32mm base, meaning that I will inevitably handle the rim of the base itself, which you can see leads to some chipping, but that's okay. Nothing that a couple of quick coats of black wouldn't fix. I prefer to keep it like that instead of keep it on just the primer, because then it is the primer that actually gets chipped, and that's a bit well, literally smellier to repair, because the primer I use is not water-based. So it's smelly, and its solvents are smelly, and they chew through brushes, and it's just a whole thing that I would prefer to avoid and replace with a possible simple coat of black paint, or whatever color it happens to be. You know, if I'm color coding the rims for a game of ball, you know, color coding the base rims to identify positionals. A jazzeroni. So again, getting completely off topic. What I was getting at is that maybe just maybe, might be time to revisit the human team that I painted 3 years ago and see if I've gained enough skill and or experience to make them a little bit better. As they will see a lot of game life in this edition, although for if no other reason, because just lost access to a third of my painted teams. That might sound horrible, but it actually just means one team. Because as you can see, I'm doing things painfully slowly. But anyway, the Norse team that I just painted it has not had a release of rules yet. And I can't exactly, sadly, use it in its current form because of the new passing skill and multiple price changes and skill updates and all that jazz. The way we've been seeing teams updated, I strongly doubt they will retain the block across the board. Seeing as how that was treated over on the dwarves side of things. They got pretty skewered in that aspect. A lot of teams actually got a bit of a nerfing, which is actually not bad because those were teams that were a little bit on the annoying side of things to begin with. So unusual for GW. I have not yet seen any rule update that is annoyingly worse than how it originated. Probably the only thing that makes things a little bit more difficult is actually a thing that's a lot more logical, which is rolling for your interceptions. And how they've put it now, deflections as an initial step, and then try and catch it. But anyway, that it has to actually, the way you determine players that are eligible to perform this action is based on where the ball has to go, so it's not on the initial trajectory the way it was now. That's going to be it's not bad, it's just making things a little bit more cumbersome, but at the same time it is also making them a lot more logical. It just makes a lot more sense to do it that way. And back on the initial topic, I'm wondering if I should try and play around with the humans and try to improve the paint job a little bit. There are few bits and pieces that I can sort of reliably improve. The flesh is a little bit flat, and now that I have a rather better understanding of how to work with the color red, I do highlighting with it. I do red shoulder plates. The humans. Also some basic blends on the armor highlights, which will be a little bit of a challenge because I no longer have the paints that I initially used, so I have to cook up something that looks somewhat similar. Because the paints I used came from the pre-packaged stuff for Painting the Day released a while ago, and since they are actually smaller, paint pots than the actual ones. And what I'm currently painting should have technically been red, but I didn't notice that the detail just crept up in there, so what ifs. You can't really see it from a distance, and therefore it does not matter. So that'll be an interesting. They dried out, throw them out. I never thought, because they are the Space Wolves gray. That I never thought I would need that particular color anymore, because I could just mix up something similar to, if I wanted an effect that was close to that. And wouldn't you know it, fate said, well, I'll give you a fair shot at doing that, since you are so liberally throwing your shit out. So, this will be a thing to do. And I might try to paint the halflings first, and sort of feel out the situation. It's pretty much similar to what I intend to do with the Dark Elves, which are the other theme that already can be used with the new edition. I have an assassin and another runner. Are just been primed. I haven't seen any paint on them. If I ever get to them, I can try to recreate the paint scheme I used back when I did paint the entire team. Yeah, this paint needs so much touching up after. I'm going to forget the majority of it. I'm going to see it after I varnish it, and I'll be all pissed and shit. God damn it. I can just feel it already. Anyway. Now a smart man would just do that right away and not think about it anymore, but you know better than to treat me like a smart man. Right, so that will be the way to recreate these paint schemes. With very hopeful, realistically doubtful improvement in overall quality. And then I'll check out how it comes out, and if there is anything that significantly improves their overall quality of paint jobs, I would go over the models I've already painted and try and do some fixer-uppers about the ship. webcam, it was an unintentional lap of a camera. It's coming out pretty well. It might actually not need a black line, but I will still put some black sketches here and there to enforce the shadowy bits. Apart from that, we're getting fairly good separation here and there, so I'm alright with that. Yeah, it's looking very, very decent. Should have started doing that from the very start. Live, you learn. I can tell you that desperately did a bit of a win. Some of these experiments actually working out, like anything at all, just making things a little bit better, and I think I'm going to content myself with the metallics, which, while I'm technically degrading the quality of paint job, it will do just fine and will be a nice, noticeable coloration. It will maintain its contrast after matte varnish has been applied. That's so cool. Yeah, so I've been anticipating this technically ever since I actually started painting. The concept of revisiting already painted teams and, well, miniatures in general, and trying to improve on them without actually stripping the paint. So we'll see how that would go. I might not do it straight away. But again, if the halflings and the extra dark elves come out in a noticeably better fashion, might as well just go for it, right? And it will be another good opportunity to afterwards play around with sealing the models, i.e. practicing the matte varnishing stage, because I'm not gonna seal them with protective layer first, and they already have that on them. It would just be some touch-ups there. They wouldn't be bulletproof. But the problem with specifically the human team is that being somewhat heavily converted, I am not happy with some of the outcomes of these conversions. And unlike painting, I haven't had a lot of experience with conversions since, so there is not that much more that I could do would noticeably improve the situation with them. So that's a bit trickier, but if I'm gonna do these touch-ups, I might as well go for the structural modifications as well, because one will require the other. Way. There's no point in actually making a good paint job and then ruining it by trying to up something less appealing. structural thingies. Some of them are fairly simple, like just trim down some of the longer spikes arms, because for whatever reason they really bug me. Like, they seem a lot more lethal than they should. How is that spilling over? Oh. Anyway, that at least is something that the lining will take care of, so I'm not that. Just to I did not brush off enough of paint. Did not unload the brush sufficiently before taking it up to the model. Dumb. Go. Yet another reason to never trust me. Value. Right, so trimming down the spiky bits on the human team. The other thing is that one of the conversion bits I used were power fists for the blitzers. I gave them power fists because I like power fists and I think they're cool. Also, I painted them red to help the blitzers stand out from the linemen. Doesn't really come into play that much. I mean, it wasn't as self-evident as I hoped it would be. But I didn't really file them down sufficiently, and they remained a little bit on the chunky side of things, if you know what I mean. So I might file them down across the board, just shorten the girth, power fist, maybe give a little bit of a rounder definition to the fingers, but that is going to annihilate a significant portion of the paint. And it might also require, well, it will require repriming these bits and actually quite a bit of work. However, they do look a little bit, well, not a little bit, they're quite a bit disproportionate. I noticed some very visible gaps where I attached the arms to the torso, and that looks ghastly, especially now that I know that it's there. So that is definitely something that I've been thinking about quite a bit. And it's scary. It's scary because it can go wrong. And it's the type of wrong you can't exactly fix with a couple of quick coats of paint either. On the other hand, I might end up with a human team that I much more like. Also that. So, would it be worth it? Would it be worth it? I might sound like on the fence about it, but it's definitely going to happen. Won't be today or tomorrow for sure. That's something that's just going to be done. And if I screw it up, I'll just get more humans and do it all over again. Or more bits. Who knows? There are options out there. I still have quite a few thingies. And honestly, thinking about it does make me kinda excited. I have been looking at them for 3 years and I have been getting progressively more angry and frustrated with some of decisions. Mostly due to a rush job, like whenever something is extremely annoying to me regarding my own painting. Because I mean, I accept the level at which I am. Rarely just a matter of, well, this came out like shit. If I know I haven't, and it's just some B. So I improve sufficiently to make it any different. It is just what it is. Whenever I know I can do better, due to whatever stupid circumstances I didn't, that is what makes me upset in terms of my painting. Like in this blue dude's case, that would be very subpar red I ended up doing. Like this should have been highlighted a lot more. So this is the elbow guards. This should have been a lot smoother. This should have been a lot smoother. The face mask could have had a lot of other cool stuff done to it as well. It's like too many missed opportunities and too subpar of a job, so it will be redone. I'm not feeling this guy in this state. And of course the greatest offenders in this line of thought are the Dark Elves, which I had to really rush. Literally the night before traveling over to Cardiff in 2018 for the Euro Bowl. And I ended up just making them very shitty. There's a lot I don't like. I didn't like much of the color scheme I went with. I hated its execution. And I know I had to, and like the moments while I was still painting them, I was thinking about when I would be able to come back and improve them. And I did a round of improvements right after coming back from Cardiff because it was just it was disgusting. I had done such a better job with the humans, that though it was like completely different people painted them. And that will be another thing I can address. Whereas for the Norse. And that'll be a bit tougher to fix because they would require more ability and technical understanding that I currently have. So their biggest problems, whereas for humans and Dark Elves, the biggest problems were with just use of color in general, like things that I can smooth out or add a little bit of extra depth. Shades. With the Norse, the problem is with value placement and volume placement, like volume representation through value. It's very much off in some places. Most noticeably, the shoulder pads. Very much shite. But I didn't have the glazing control that I do have now. I didn't have the tools for better glazing, like the Pro Acryl line of paints, which I now do. But I will not be doing that just yet, because I would like to improve my actual understanding of where things need to go. Not that much on how to apply it, because that part is sort of getting there. Alright, is she? At least to a point where it doesn't... not great, but it doesn't make you want to vomit. Let's put it like that. That's fairly alrightish. But the humans are easy to fix. The Dark Elves are gonna take some doing. Because whatever I do, I have to really fix it. Like with the humans, it's just touch-ups here and there. Dark Elves, it's like entire concepts need to be restructured, such as the hair needs to be completely redone if I want to actually illustrate what I wanted to do as a concept. I wanted to make them ravers, right? I wanted to make them industrial, dark techno fans. So I wanted to give them all the neon color hairdos, which seems to be a running theme and has actually gained a lot of traction nowadays. I'm not saying that I set the trend because no one really saw what I did, but anyway. It's just that I've had a lot more opportunity to play around with that, especially here with the Goliaths. They have been an active experiment in working with vibrant hair colors, and it's definitely something I'd like to do. So my initial approach to the situation, my current approach to the situation for the Dark Elves was I painted most of their hair essentially white-ish and picked out a single strand or two strands of hair to paint in the vibrant color with the hopes that that will work from a distance. That was neither able to create a good saturated vibrancy. Let's have a nice, vibrant, glowy, neon-y color. Nor was it at a big enough scale. Actually, be seen from a distance, and that was kind of key because it was supposed to be the separating detail. You would be able to tell which blitzer is which based on the color of their hair, since their uniforms, you can call them that, followed an identical scheme. So that is something I want to revisit, and I'll probably just paint the entirety of their hair with the vibrant color in question. And again, using my somewhat developed since then at least ability to please. Not only that, but also my better tools for the job, but namely again, for acrylic paints. So here we go, a very large surface of just dark metallic. I will try and do something with it, but since I don't really know exactly how to do it, I'm warning you that it's not going to come out well, but I'll still do it. If I don't try many enough times, I will not get the chance to experience a lucky mistake. I am way too lazy to actually put in the required time to find out what it is that I'm trying to do and see a decent tutorial on it. And take some notes and apply them in practice. Right, so dark elves, bears, industrials, whatever. That is easy to fix. That's okay. I should be able to do all of the team's hair in like an evening. That's not a problem. It'll be fun. It'll be using fun colors on large surfaces. Well, it's gonna be alright. Then, however, we reach problem. Is the actual armor. Now, the Obsidian Dusk Dark Elves from Grebo are the only team out of their recent releases, ever since they started with Grebo, with the whatchamacallits, Florence Knights. The Dark Elves and respectively the Wood Elves that you can make out of them. Bought some extra models and whatever, or the other way around, depending on how you how you look at it. We're downscaled, which was very bad because the models themselves, the sculpts themselves, are very fine, very thin. So everything on them is very fucking small. The areas are very fucking small, and the entire model is laden with my most favorite type of detail in a miniature ever, which is metallic trim. The Obsidian Dusk Dark Elves are essentially metallic trim, the miniature. And I am still to this day, like 2 years later, I am still experiencing PTSD whenever I have to paint like trim. How slow and painful it was to actually bring it to any decent level. And then of course you have the actual armor color, and I went with purple, pretty close to the original scheme. I didn't hate it. I didn't like how I built it up, so shadows weren't deep enough, the highlights weren't bright enough. So it'd be a large amount of meh. But I kept it. I kept it because I had to just pump through them and get them to Euroball. Also, it was a bad choice of colors to use. Silver for the trim, because it loses a lot of contrast potential that the gold would have provided. I am severely unhappy about that. Too late. That's something that might be worth addressing yet again if I go back to them. Well, when I go back to it, because I will not leave them like this forever. Maybe for a long time. I mean, it has been 2 years already, but this is getting fixed. I'm just waiting for my skills to catch up to the point where I can fix them once, be happy with how they came out, and just accept them as they are and like them. There are also a few horrendous miscast thingies. Like one of the witch elves' face is just horrid. And I did see a very interesting way, because that's apparently something that happens quite a bit. That has happened quite a bit with this Kickstarter and the cast of the elves in general. Someone had made a mask for her. So there is an idea. I might play around, I might actually play around with casting. Would be interesting, like make a mold for green stuff and make a green stuff mask for her, and then play around with a little bit of sculpting and shit. Like that might be cool. And of course, to round things up, because now that I think about it, there really isn't a single aspect of these models that I like. How they came out after my paint job. There's skin. I wanted to have a nice, pale, almost ghostly skin. A, because they're dark elves and they're supposed to be pasty. And B, because they were also, in my rendition of them, gothy and ravery and all that. So I did not, however, at that time have the capacity to play around with skin tones. Again, something that I've been trying to fix and atone for ever since, by painting the whole Norse team and these Goliaths with all sorts of different skin tone types. Whereas for the Norse, I focused on single skin tone, but I tried to perfect it. Both had its uses, and I would like to say that it helped to elevate my ability to paint flesh. What? At least somewhat. Come on, give me that at least. Come on. Come on. But yeah, I do think I paint better flesh now. Not by much, but a little bit. At the very least, it's more interesting than I used to paint it. Very boring. Go through the flesh tone triad from the Citadel range and deal with it. Okay, I'm getting more and more dissuaded to play around with the ribs. But it's still not completely out of the picture. I would like to rust the sword down a little bit, like simulate a little bit of more worn and used thing. I think Seraphim Sepia will come in handy here. I just need to figure out where the best application place would be. Right, so just to quickly finish up this fairly boring topic would be the Dark Elves need a complete do-over. I am tempted to strip them and repaint them because it'll be easier and faster than to fix them. The humans can be fixed, but with just touch-ups. But they will also require some resculpting on the conversion bits side of things, which will be an extra challenge. But if I were to do that, I would be happy to field these teams as a representation of me. Okay. Funnily enough, an hour and a half into the stream, we are done with the highlighting of all of the metallics. Oh, no, we're not. We are very much not. Let's me. Oh, God, no. Come on, dude. Come on. Use your brain, dude. Come on. The base. We forgot the base. Oh. Are all of your base going to belong to us if we don't highlight them? Stupid question, but on the topic of bases, this is not going to be miniature related in any way. I don't even know why. Bases was the thing that triggered the conversation. I saw a fairly appealing roguelike JRPG by the name of Star Renegades. It looks fairly pleasant. Might be something that I would like to obtain and play. possibly even on stream. The only thing that bugs me with this game, and unfortunately with quite a few other titles, is the pixel art. Like you can see in the introductory video, but this studio can make very good animations. Why? Why the fuck did they have to stick with in-game pixel art? Not only that, but kinda subpar pixel art. And that's my only real gripe with it. Apart from that, it's pretty cool in many aspects. Like, there are ways to make good pixel art, and although it's now a fairly old example of it, Dead Souls did it nice. And you know why? Because it didn't do actual pixel art, they actually did their good-looking 3D renders, and then scaled them down and just distorted them to operate as pixel art, which is why it looks well. But if you build it up from scratch as pixel art, unless you put in an inordinate amount of time, you're gonna get shite. And it's kind of the case here. And it's not horrible. I've seen a lot worse. For a game that I actually like and would like play, that was a bit hurtful. So and if you would like to check this out, if it sounded by any way, shape, or form interesting, the name of the game is Star Renegades. And it's a very weird kind of a roguelike where your single runs a couple of hours even. First, the initial run I saw being played took about an hour and a half with the inclusion. Oh, bullshit, it took about 2 hours, maybe even more, and that is, however, with the inclusion of the tutorial, but still quite a long playthrough for a run. Roguelite. Sure. I've been looking at some roguelikes that seem appealing. Last stream we touched on Hades, which finally came out of early access. Another cool one would be the Curse of the Dark Gods, which is very similar to Hades. It just doesn't have the extra little fluff and dialogue, which does not work in its favor, considering the competition. Problem with the roguelikes is that you never feel like you've actually beaten the game. And I kind of want to go through my library of games and start to clean things up a little bit, get some shit done. There are some newer titles as part of franchises. The games from Darksiders. The other one. Nope. Is there another? Oh yeah, actually Hades, if you consider it to be part of the franchise that is Supergiant Games. They're both Bastion and Transistor. And I've played a total of 2 hours of Bastion, I think, and never touched it again. I struggled. Didn't find it interesting at the time. I would like to play through both Bastion and Transistor before going into Hades. And I would like to play through both Darksiders 1 and 2, the remastered versions of them, before I go on and buy the third one and possibly Genesis. I'm a little bit iffy on Genesis. But I'll probably end up getting it. I'm just a big fan of the franchise. And I was really gutted when I heard that the HQ was going down. Nordic. That's the company that gave us the good Warhammer games of sort of new age. Gave us the Dawn of Wars, gave us the very, very, very nice Space Marine character action game. And they gave us Darksiders as well. Not sure if Battle Chasers was a THQ property, but it sure as hell is the lead artist, designer is doing. I might count it towards it, even if it's not. Kingdoms of Amalur is getting a remaster. I am kind of excited about that, because that was a great game. And I dare say somewhat overrated, underrated. Criminally so. When it came out, it looked amazing. It played amazing, if a little bit repetitive. I think at some places it was bigger than it had to be. But it offered a lot. It offered also story was getting a little bit faded because of how huge the side questing dungeons were. You kind of forgot what it was that you were actually doing. But apart from that, it was really cool. It made two-handed weapons in an RPG function well. That I can say for very few titles. I really overdid. So yeah, getting that a remaster, and there will be extra content. I think they are adding like such as a sort of an expansion into it. So that'll be cool. But on the other hand, it's once again a friggin' remake. Why didn't you make, at the very least, a second game? Why? And now I just heard that they might announce a Metal Gear Solid, the first one, remake. Which is fairly ambiguous as to, does it mean just a remaster? Does it mean a reboot? What the fuck is it? But again, come on, a little bit of creativity, game designers, please. Well, that's being harsh. It's not the game designer's fault. It's publishing and development studio that's only working off the beaten path. And to say the least, but what? We're either getting more of the same or literally the same remade with tinier graphics, and in some cases that is justified. In case of Kingdoms of Amalur, not really. I mean, even today it doesn't look bad. It's still playable on modern machines. It excites me because it's going back to again, an underrated title that I had a lot of fun with. Right, let's take a breath, take a cigarette. Ponder our next move while I'm still raving all over the place about all sorts of. I did have some Mordheim stuff I wanted to talk about, but I kind of wanted Agent Orange to be around because he is the Mordheim aficionado and the driver that suggested that we would try that game as well as the other ones that are currently on the list of on the table to try. So we'll see about that. Oh yeah, also I do want to get through some tactical turn-based strategies, such as I really want to finish Wasteland 2. I'm effectively halfway through the game and I haven't touched it in 2 months, maybe more. Also want to go through Shadowrun Hong Kong, especially with the Frag & Unicorns models coming out around December, being shipped around December. Get a little bit of extra inspirational material for reference and stuff. And also I kind of really like Shadowrun. If by any chance you haven't heard me rave about it, I do. I really do. Even though Hong Kong is not the best of the titles. The reason I want to also go through it so I can have a space for another tactical turn-based, squad-based game. And you might be guessing what I mean. No, it's not XCOM. It's actually Gears Tactics. I really want to try that shit out. I also would like to get my hands on Gears 5, but this whole thing is probably going to melt trying to play it, so... Doubtful. We'll get to that point for now, but Gears Tactics is definitely within the processing capacity of this whole rig. Which also reminds me about another painting project that I will be getting into as sort of a side thing, thanks to my Bretonians that are going to come on the table right after these Goliaths are all done and done. That is Gears of War, the board game. I have the game, very nice game by the way. It's rules-wise, it flows nicely, has some challenge, has some interesting mechanics into it, and it has some pretty good models in it that have been begging me for a paint job for a while. But they need some serious cleanup, and they're a little bit on the soft side of the materials, so cleaning them up was going to be annoying. I have to soldier through it in order to get to painting them. Some of the locusts, what were the enemies? Yeah, locusts, are models that I wouldn't want to spend too much time on, so I might try some cheeky shortcuts here and there. I would like to work out a color scheme that is better suited to a board game context, because if I paint them in the way of the video game, it would look very drab and boring considering their scale. They are 28mm scale, so they're good models in terms of size, but still, if I make them dark green and gray and brown, they're gonna look very dead. I need to think a bit more on that. At least the Bretonian color scheme has been sort of locked in, so that's something that will be interesting to do. I'm gonna try type of sectioning for the main color. It's gonna be green and yellow. They're the ones that I haven't painted yet. It'd be fun. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna start off. Hey, Mentally Illustrated, what is up? Tonight I am working on this guy. Let me focus him. This little Goliath here. I just finished up highlighting the metallics, and thinking about what to do next on him. There are some touch-ups that I kind of want to do. I want to blend some of the highlights because they came out a bit blocky. And thanks, dude. I kind of wanted to go through that because I need to do some chipping on the armor and some lining across most of the model. And also some cleanups here and there, like here on the side of the hair we have a little bit of a steady spill on the colors. So this is probably what I'll be addressing until the end of this particular stream, and this will be the last stream this guy will be featured on. Following that, I'm gonna go over to this green dude. Again, one of the penultimate Goliath from the gang. I will have to rebase his skin color because it came out a little bit too bright, or I might just play around with adding shadows later on, looking like working off as this being the mid-tone instead of the undertone like I did with the others. And after him we have the gray Goliath with the heavy stubber. go through as well. Finally, after 6 months of very, very slow painting, finish these guys up. Now, I'm going to make a very quick trip to the bathroom. I've been talking and drinking water for about close to 2 hours now. And I will be right back and see how much more we can do with what we have available. So, I'll be right back. Right, all good, and back again. So, how are things on your side? Are you currently working on anything, or playing anything? Be it tabletop-based, or video game-wise? Jeez. What else did I use? Slick Devlin. I'm so sorry to hear about the eye injury. I hope you recover quick and well. As a person with one functioning eye, I can totally relate to this. I've been blind in my right eye since birth, and it has been an annoyance. So, I feel ya. Lucius Devian. Who that? Does not sound like anyone I know. Human freelancer in Gunsslayer. Okay. Oh, is this for Rogue Trader? Yeah, alright. Still, keeping fingers crossed that it'll heal quickly and completely. Hello, I rescue Minpins. What's up? His charges are high, reflects formidable reputation across half a dozen sectors. Is it great? Oh, okay, so he's from Eisenhorn's retinue? Sweet. Well, crossed paths, but still. Mutant Rebel hideout. Sweet. Also, that looks like a very nice model for, if it's an old model, it looks very, very good. Again, this seems to be something that's very cool to have for a Rogue Trader run. Nice. Okay, let's we can do some quick touch-ups. Start on the less fun part. Oh yeah, definitely. Like, I haven't heard of that character at all, but from what I see, real cool. Also, if you can find a copy of Inquisitor, maybe it could be fun, or Inquisimunda, which I'm not really sure what it is, but it sounds like these guys will fit in quite nicely. Pretty sweet. So, has any one of you actually given Gears Tactics a try, like the video game? I've been thinking about it for a while. Naturally, I'm gonna wait for it to go on sale because I'm not getting it full retail, but like any feedback on the matter will be okay. Good. No problem. Just asking around, you know. Yeah. I actually recently tried Saints Row, the 4th game. Because I really like the 3rd one. I'm bringing it up, as you mentioned, GTA, because it's kind of in that ballpark. And the 4th one, unfortunately, didn't quite grab me. Apart from that, on the Gears of War topic, I don't know if you were around while I was mostly raving to myself. Oh shit, forgot the focus again. Sorry guys, I keep forgetting that because I am massively nearsighted. I can't really paint with my forearms on the table without destroying my neck and back. So I lift the model towards me. As a result, if the model is not in frame, you get this blurry background. So whenever I'm not painting, I'm switching over to automatic focus, which hates miniatures. So if I forget doing that again, please remind me. Thank you. Alright, so back again on the topic. I've been all over the place today. I have the Gears of War board game, and it's a very fun one. I didn't expect for a licensed game to actually have such a decent and, at least in my opinion, somewhat original gaming mechanics. But the most important part is that it comes with some sweet ass models. Let me actually show off some of them to you. And again, keep in mind, these would all be models coming from a board game, not a miniatures game. They are, of course, dusty as hell because everything sits on shelves for years before it gets any paint from me. But we do get models such as these. Again, this is from a board game. This is a 28mm scale, would appear. They're pretty well detailed. They do need a little bit of cleanup from mold lines and such. And they are of the bendier variety of plastic, which means mold line removal is going to be a bitch. Also, because it is so highly detailed, I think that any way that I can try and implement contrast paints would be very well suited for these. So I might get some more transparents from Pro Acryl and mix them with the contrast medium and get some shit done pretty quick and pretty, hopefully, decent. We got these ape-like locust dudes. Again, very, very detailed. And the details are pretty sharp. And we get to the bigger guys. Bigger locust. Even bigger locust dudes. These in particular, I think, are very well done. These weirdos, well, pretty fracking cool. And of course, the massive berserker that comes with them that I could actually proxy for Blood Bowl is a big guy, if I can think of something to use for. Chaos Ogre, or maybe even a troll. Again, so these are all board game miniatures and they look awesome. I would definitely like to get some paint on them at some point. But they're a big lot, and would like to try and do some, wouldn't be exactly speed painting, but pretty damn close to. I really need to pick up the speed I'm painting anyway. We're trying out some so-called cheat techniques. These will be pretty neat guinea pigs for that. I did spill a little bit of metallic here. Be good to fix it up if I can. Oh, again, if you have any picks of anything that you're working on, anything that you would like to be working on, any games that you've played virtually or on a table of any description, I'm actually quite interested to hear and see about it. Post links absolutely freely. And all that good shit. Otherwise, the next project that I'll be getting into is a Bretonnians team for Blood Bowl. Even though, sadly, with the new rules edition, that team will probably cease to be a thing. Thankfully, though, it can be used as other things as well, so it will not be a wasted effort anyway. I start to miss all of the highlights that I obscured on the flash. I'd kind of like to bring up again. Naturally, as I'm bringing those up, they are becoming blocky, and as such, I will need to address them with some glazes later on. And by later on, I mean right now, because I will not handle it to leave something for later again. So mostly just stuff in this general direction. Because I've been trying to go through these Goliaths, making a harder push for it. Haven't really had time for any gaming or video gaming of any kind. It has started to gnaw at me a little bit. So, because that's been, well, a relatively small project. Like, it's just 10 miniatures, taking me a shameful amount of time to get through them, and this is me trying to push them to make them, and as I am doing so, I keep finding things that I want to improve on them, fix up on them, and that is not making it any faster. But anyway, we'll get there eventually. For those of you who were around to listen to me bitch and moan about models frosting over after being treated with ultramatte varnish, I am very happy to say that the issue has been amended. One of the viewers suggested dunking them in mineral spirits, and that did alleviate the situation a little bit, but not completely. Matter of fact, it it did so fairly subtly, almost unnoticeably, but like there was progress. So I looked around to see what I can do to fix things up as much as I could, and a coat of Lamian medium seemed to do the trick. So, also meanwhile, I've been playing around with the airbrush a little bit more, so I think I was able to isolate a few dumb issues, a few dumb problems and errors I've been committing while using it for this particular activity. So hopefully that will be something I'll be able to avoid in the future, or at least play around a little bit more to get outcome. And if not, now that I have a somewhat secure method of addressing it, it's more adventurously inclined for the art of a varnishing. So what happened with the flesh on this guy during the painting process was that after loading up all of the highlights and shit, and all of the shadows as well, I decided to go over with a transparent red to bring a little bit of warmth and life into the otherwise pretty cold blue. What I did not anticipate is that it also brought all of the values down significantly. So I'm going to bring those, at least the brightest ones, up a little bit. And while it looks a bit choppy right now, I will do my best to smush them down with a little bit of quick glazing, as much as glazing can quick. And bring some more definition into these very well sculpted, well-defined muscles that all of the Goliath models have. Actually a very fun experiment. They can be used as a fun experiment for painting flesh because of how detailed and aggressively sculpted the muscle definition is. And sadly, I'm not taking advantage nearly as much as I could. But I am both tired and lazy, and I want to get these guys done within the span of this decade, if at all possible. And we're getting there. Now, if we ever actually start playing Necromunda, I might look into expanding them a little bit with the sort of expansion pack they put out for them with the Stimmers and the Forgeborn. And also look into what access they have to the whatchamacallits, hired guns, mercenaries, all that jazz. get some of them going. But again, I don't wanna overcommit the game system that I haven't even tried yet. And even saying that, while it sounds reasonable in theory, I do also have a couple boxes of Palanites that I haven't even put together, so... Derp. A bit derp. That's on me. Well, I really hadn't noticed just how much I had killed the detail here. Okay, let's not overdo it, and let's try and blend what we've got going on right now, and move over to the red where I will need to more support. So as far as glazing goes, I think I may have isolated the source of my major problems with it. At least the outcome of it. And that is the fact that I tend to block all of the levels of highlights first and then try to blend them down. Doesn't necessarily work because when you use the darkest color to blend all of the levels of highlights, you inevitably lose a lot of the mid transitions, and you're left with just a very bright and a very dark. So instead, what I'll do from now on is build them in steps. So put on, whether I'll start from mid color or from an underpaint, like a shadow color, doesn't matter. Like, just put the next level of highlight, blend it down with the previous, and then build towards the next. I think that would be a more effective way to do it. At least the results should be better. But that is something to be experimented on. Future Goliaths. Maybe the green one. I think the green one would be a good test subject for that. Although if I don't repaint the base tone, I will be working off of a mid-tone, which isn't what I've been doing with these guys. The majority of them I started off with the darkest color, which would be the shadow, and then I sort of built up from that, which also not necessarily the best because you have to build up a lot more layers. Instead of starting from a mid-tone, going upwards into the highlights and then downwards into the shadows, which at this point would be a much smaller area to deal with. Therefore, easier. So that remains to be seen. have to do what I'm doing right now, which is a pretty stupid thing to do. Just trying to use the same color to bring up the midtone and bring down the highlight. There is almost no way in hell that will work well. Just because it's not strong enough to actively bring up the midtone, and it will probably wind up just being a line when it builds up correctly, and bad. Yeah, like this. Shit. Okay. No. I guess there is no skipping. Going back to the dark blue. Or is there? Let's see if I can lazy myself out of this one. No. No. Oh. Well, let's do the best we can with what's in front of us. And then deal with the rest. And there is a storm brewing. Because autumn has come literally out of the blue, like in literally a couple of days. It went from summer to autumn. Just one day I come out of my lair to acquire sustenance, and I noticed that the leaves have started to yellow, and there is this very distinctive smell of fall. I don't know if you can, you know what I'm talking about. It's like a dusty smell, not the burnt smell that you get from winter. It's a dusty smell. That just immediately signaled to me, yep, it's fall. I have colors I haven't even used yet. Because I am that imaginative with my color schemes, apparently. Seem to do the same thing over and over again. Which isn't the case. It doesn't seem to be the case. I don't know. So here is going back to a topic that I was covering while talking to myself mostly. Going back to models that you have already painted, and you know, time has passed, you have advanced your painting abilities, skills, understandings, or maybe even just the tool set. Do you go back and touch up these models without stripping them? Have you done this? How had it turned out? So on and so forth. I have several bunches of models that I would like to revisit and redo in various ways. And I think very few of them are actually going to benefit from stripping more than just touch-ups. So is it something that you do, something that you've done, something that you've tried out, that you are meaning to try out? In my case, that's something I've been thinking about ever since I started painting. It was like, when would the time come when I would have significantly grown in my painting, and that I would be able to reliably and significantly improve old paint jobs? Maybe not just paint jobs, because what I was talking about also included fixing up some words that elude me. Some conversions that could have done a little bit better with a little bit of sanding and filing and clipping. It can be improved. Naturally, this bit will have to be re-primed and repainted afterwards. But I think it's worth it, because in this particular case, it's something I've been looking at for the last 3 years, and it's just been poking my eyes. Sorry, no pun intended on that one. And being just a huge annoyance. And yeah, so I would like to hear if you have had any such musings, or if those musings have ever reached a point of practicality. Like, have you actually ever attempted to do it? To what extent? With what level of success? You know, all of it, the whole deal. Alright, enough playing around with this. Let's go. Actually, let's have another cigarette, okay? And then go over to the reds. See how we can salvage that. Well, I wouldn't go as far as to say atrocity, but yeah, there are things that I could have done better, and now would be the time to fix them. Before I start lining and chipping and all that stuff. I might also start drowning the base in washes, which is what I usually do. Basing is probably the thing I underestimate and underdo the most often. And that's not a good approach to it, right? It's not a good way to consider this. There's a lot to be done in basing. I just never have any willpower left after painting the actual model. Oh, also here's something that I've been building up towards, but haven't quite gotten there yet. So these grenade heads, they should not be gold. I did them gold because I want to go over them with a transparent or glazy green. Because I've seen, and I suppose you've all seen the candy red that you get when you paint red over gold. I want to see if I can do the same with green. Just for the hell of it. Like, it was a small enough surface that it wouldn't matter if I screw it up, and if I do, I can just paint over it with the green until it gains opacity and go from there. Like, do the regular highlighting and stuff. So what colors will I need? I need bold Pyrrole red. Probably Wild Rider red. See if I need both of them or just red. Bold Pearl would suffice. I think it should if I lay it down thinly enough. Like on the chest plate, I might even just go over with the transparent to smooth whatever's left in a choppy way. But here on the sword, as you can see on the side, there are some rough transitions and a little bit too much of the dark color showing through. A little bit of spillage going on right here. Also, I managed to stain the boots because brush control. What is that? What is even that? Yo, Snick! What's going on? Hello! Everybody, let's give Snick a shout out. He is an amazing painter from the neighborhood, as he likes to say. Oh, that's lovely to hear. It is not very often that I get to hear people are fine and good, so it does my heart good to do that. Please give him a check out. Check out his Insta, check out his Twitch. He is doing some lovely stuff. He recently completed one of the RPG wheelchairs, models with wheelchairs. Oh, no worries at all, dude. It is all sincere. Alright, so on my side of the painting table we have this guy trying to fix up some of the blockier highlights, give him a bit of a smoothening. and move on to the last bits and pieces of stuff to do on him. So, might as well just do that. Flip this around. What are you up to right now, Snake? What is your current project? From Golden Adrian. All of these sculptors that have started to pop out. I'm really glad, but unfortunately I'm not really aware of most of them. Oh, for sure. In a pretty lively mood, uncharacteristically. Also, a storm just broke out here, so I'm not going anywhere for now. Alright, so let's address this village here. Considering I'm going to matte this down significantly with the matte varnish. Not really gonna look as bad, but still. A lick of paint will do it well.
Flagellation. Typically an unwilling act of religious punishment. Special implements are used to back.
Haven't had rain in a while around here, and I was not missing it. Gonna tell you that for free.
Sins can be purged. How much blood would you shed to regain purity?
So the majority of these little spills will be covered by the black lining, so I'm not overly worried, but it is still a bit of a nuisance that if I can get rid of it, why not? I had completely forgotten this side of the grief. So I will, after all, need some of the Wild Rider. Bring it up. Oh yeah, here. Here as well. Now, as I'm pseudo hiding this, I am most probably going to forget cover it up with the black lining, so as usual I'm making my life unnecessarily hard on myself, but that's kind of the staple of what I do around here, so yeah.
there's a chance that I might actually get a game in this weekend. A game of Blood Bowl, that is. Be able to scratch that itch that has been growing on me. Battle! Yup. So it might not be a bad idea to actually read the rules for Necromunda, because I might have been painting them for 6 months now, but I sure as hell haven't read the rules. And I hear that it's easier to play if you actually know what you're doing, so that's on the to-do list. Also need to print out some character sheets and fill in these guys' stats in. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Also, the fact that I brought down the brightness of the camera boosts the contrast of the model, so it is looking a little bit better than it is in real life, but still, you won't hear me complain about that, because I always forget that brightness and exposure as far as camera settings go are separate things. And the fact that I've got the exposure under control doesn't mean the brightness followed. Because I'm using brighter light bulbs right now. That really helped. I'm gonna do some tweaks to the face cam so that I don't look so ghostly. Much as I can, that is. I am a pretty pasty dude. So, camera manipulation can only take me so far. And guess who forgot to paint in the silvers in his little rivets? Like, the more I look at this guy, the more shit I see that I haven't done. Noise me. But yeah, possible game in this upcoming weekend, so I've got that to look forward to. It'll be fun. Trying to see how the new Blood Bowl rules work. It's gonna be much of a change in terms of how we are used to playing. Alright, let's try and blend these things down a little bit. Now, possibly using a larger brush would benefit me in this case. But that would also require me to not be a lazy piece of shit, which I am, and so, yeah, I'm gonna deal with what I got. So, tiny brush to the rescue. Oh, that actually helped. Nice. About that. That actually kind of worked. I'm just gonna end up making this opaque, aren't I? Doing 10 coats what I could have done in 2. For some reason I was disconnected from chat, so if I missed anything, I apologize. But I just got reconnected. Oh yeah, with the rain pouring down, my internet provider has the ever so lovely habit of turning off the switches in anticipation of a thunderstorm. So if the stream abruptly cuts off, it is that. Because our switches are exposed to the elements of nature instead of hidden away as they should be, but it happens to be a more expensive endeavor, so most internet providers don't bother. Which is not the best if you are relying on a stable connection. It used to be even more prominent back in the day when the LAN cards were part of the motherboard and weren't external components. Because then they had to do the disconnection of the switches in order to protect end user machines as well. Because nothing was anti-thundery, electric shocky made. And so motherboards would blow up like nobody's business. Thankfully, at least that's not a problem that we need to worry about nowadays, but still. Technology. Sometimes a little bit of a bitch. For instance, out of the blue, I had to do some urgent software updates, and so I had to restart the computer about 3 times before starting up the stream. And thankfully, it went well, and I wasn't late to the party. I'm being a little paranoid. Is the chat working, or am I again out of the loop? Seems good. Okay. Friday drinking stream. Sounds tempting. I'm gonna be honest. I am actually probably going to be out on a date, an actual real-life date, on Friday. But if plans fall through, I will more than gladly join you. Because last time I actually managed to do some work, and it was a very, very fun experience. Stream 2. Yep. Like, again, if my date plans fall through for whatever reason, because they do tend to have that habit, I'm going to come along, get salsed, and do some painting along with you. Hello, Agent Orange. How's it going? Oh no, no problem. It's always good to see you around. I've been waiting for you to show up because I've been looking through some of the Mordheim stuff. And first of all, there really is a Sisters of Sigmar faction that I might want to get some models for. And secondly, when you were looking for the models, so the ones that you showed me last time, yeah, about the Norse, the Middenheimers, do you think that the Untamed Beasts for Warcry with a little bit of imagination can work for that? Because they are technically the only fantasy models I have that aren't Blood Bowl related. Yeah, the ones from Warcry, let me show you what I meant. Because the models that I saw associated with the Middenheimers for Mordheim were more tame and medieval looking. Plus werewolf. Might have a problem with a werewolf. But like for a starting... where can I get? Let's say these guys. Like, do you think these would work, or are they too much? Yeah, they're big-ish. Like, they're about the size of the Goliaths. Reason I'm asking is because I already have so there are a total of 5 of them, so these are 3 and 2 more, like these guys. Yeah, they are the same. So these and the other ones are the same pack. Oh, here they are. Okay, so these are all of them. Okay, so if they work, because these are for Warcry, and if I can double them up to work for Mordheim as well, that would be great. So on the topic of the models that you showed me, did you check out the references for shops that are in the actual web page for the Mordheim stuff? There's another thing that came across is pretty sweet. Shock? What? What shock? No shock. So cool and chill. Oh, right. So, in the Mordheim website, the one that has the rules, on the bottom, on the absolute bottom of the website, there is a list of retailers that carry models that can be used for the game. And I was asking if you were actually looking through those when you showed me the models last time. Yeah, the very long list, exactly. The very long list of shops. Because I came across these guys that... yeah. Like, what do you think about these guys for the Imperials? Or Reichlanders? That is Skibor, or Cybor. And he also has some character models that you can tie into them with, and there are... And he simply sell 30 years war stuff. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I was looking through some of them, and some carry some interesting things that not necessarily look good for Mordheim, but are just cool models. Oh, sure. Sorry. Where did I see them? Yeah, there they are. And the same range carries some models that can be used for characters. No, wait. Yeah, Town Guard, that's it. Yeah, these are the ones. We here to have some alternate buildings. Ah shit, that didn't carry over the link. Just copy the whole thing. Don't click on the hyperlink. Or burp. All right. In that case, this is the link to the general section for humans. God damn it! Did it again, didn't? Why is there a comma in a HTTP link? All right, okay. Anyway, just thought you might be interested. Is all. Alrighty. I've also... Oh, no worries. You know, I love browsing models and I'm just looking for a reason to do so. So right. And I've been thinking a little bit more on the... whatchamacallits. So the Sisters of Sigmar, right? The ones that I mentioned. I was thinking about what models could go well for them. And naturally, the by default thing that came to mind was the Sequitors from Age of Sigmar, the female versions of the words. Stormcast. But there are two problems I found with that. First of all, I get a box of sequitors that they come in boxes of 10, but they only have 4. The sisters are human, yeah. Only 4 of the 10 can be built as females, which means I won't be able to use. And not very armored. Yeah, that was what I was building up to, that the Stormcast would not be a good representation because they are very heavily armor clad. And that is a pity, because I really was looking forward to having an excuse to painting some Stormcast, finally. But I'll keep looking. And I'm bound to find something at some point. Fire Forge. Yeah, okay. They have stuff? Alright, I'll check that out. Though, for the moment, I'll probably focus on maybe getting the beasts built. Because I have one of the models built a long time ago. I can put the others together so that we can have some sort of a preparation. Storm something. Okay, thanks. I'll give it a shot. I'll check it out. Yeah, I know, and that's why I was on the kinda iffy on the Untamed Beasts, because they are a little bit too burly and large, like you mentioned. A Lord, 2 Berserkers, 2 Wolves. Oh, really? Wait, are we talking about Middenheimers? Or is this a separate faction? Because the closest thing to Norse that I saw in the spreadsheet for the races was Middenheimers. And a few normal guys, yeah, of course. Can do nothing without your normal guys. Filling out the ranks. A Norse warband. Okay. Then I guess I've been looking at not the full list. Because the one I saw only had the 3 human types, so the Reichlanders, the Middenheimers, and the rich trades guys. Look harder or wait, okay. Undead, Sisters of Sigmar, Witch Hunters, Skaven, and what else did I see? Oh, okay, so there are more, okay. From the basic book. Gotcha. Yeah, because that was taken out as a separate annex, and possessed. Yeah, that's right. And undead, right. The possessed look really interesting, and I think I have a few good ideas for models for them from the Privateer Press range. The Kador Doom Reavers. Look like they would fit the bill. For the main possessed dudes. Possessed are really old-fashioned. Like model-wise or tactics-wise? Because they have some really cool stuff. Like they have mutants and beastmen. Nowadays, beastmen hate everything. On the topic of hate, what do you think about the decision that they made for the Blood Bowl Orcs team, where they gave animosity to the Orcs? Like, very weird animosity. Yeah, I've heard of it, and I didn't find it in that... Oh, it was a bit weirded out. Like, linemen hate other linemen, the thrower hates everybody. Black orcs are no longer black orcs. Like, they made very weird decisions. Oh, okay, so it is fluffy. I just thought it was a weird design choice. They've also annihilated the Wood Elves. And the boss slaps them to get them in line. Yeah, that sounds orky, alright. Definitely sounds orky. It is. It is. I like orcs. Which is why I should probably start building mine at some point. Oh wow, casual painter with a raid. Hello, hello. I have no idea why the message isn't coming through on the screen. Sorry about that. But welcome raiders. Casual painter, what have you been up to? What were you working on? Did you have a good stream? And are we having problems with the stream? Greetings! Hello! Again, apologies, for some reason the raid alert did not come out. The reasoning is beyond my comprehension, so derp. Anyone around? Let's give Casual Painter a shout out. Go over, check him out, give him a follow. Maybe, yeah, Twitch has been a bit weird lately, as usual. More or less. Anyway, what have you been up to? What were you working on this lovely... And although a little bit rainy over at my side of things, Wednesday evening. Thanks, man. It is a Goliath for the Necromunda game. They should not be blue. Oh, that's cool. Nice. Have you ever played, or do you intend to ride the new edition terrain for Necromunda? And it's not really a new edition, it's just, you know, newer than the old. Wow, okay. still has quite a few cool things have been coming out. So also the video game adaptation came out about a week or a couple of weeks ago. So now would be a good time to rekindle any old flames for this game. And I say that not having played either of it, so you know, my opinion doesn't exactly come with anything else than a little bit of cool model-based excitement. What were you painting today? You never said. Oh my, alright. If you have any pictures of those, I would very much appreciate it if you would share that. Or if you could share your... actually, let me check out. Give you an actual follow and stalk you for social media information. Okay, so let me sure I follow you. Do you have social links? Oh, for sure. Oh yeah, there we go, Instagram. Yoink! Alright, so I will be on the lookout for those. Oh man, good looking stuff here. Elder Scrolls. Let me bring this up for everyone to see. Lovely, lovely stuff. Oh hell, what the hell is this? Liberty Prime. Oh, okay. So that's what it looks like in miniature form. Sick. Nice. Yeah, I can tell. Well, you remember what it looked like in the actual game, right? It was essentially Titan-sized. About-ish. Oh, the Fallout models. I was really on the line whether or not to buy into the Fallout miniatures. But for whatever reason, they seemed a little bit off. But now that I see them with your paint style, they look awesome. God damn it. God damn it, I might have to buy into another range of things. Shit. Because, as a matter of fact, I've played through the entire original Fallout game on stream a while back, but still, I think you can check out on YouTube. Anyway, what I'm getting at is to say that I am a big Fallout fan. Is what I meant, just in brief summary. And yeah, Battlefleet Gothic, like, especially Agent Orange here has, I think, has a good interest into it.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for that. I will check them out. Holy hell, that is a lot of bands. Night Goblins, Horse Explorers, Orc Mob. Holy hell. Okay. Yeah, it's in the updates. Alright. I've not been looking at the full range of warbands, because it did seem a little bit empty, like only a handful. Sick. So, well, give Casual Painters Instagram a follow, and you might see some freshly painted goodies. I forgot to link it, so if you'd like to, you can drop a link to your Insta, because I kind of closed it. What else can we do on this guy? I think that if I keep playing around with the red, it's gonna get completely orange, and that's not what I'm going for. So let's see if the green over gold is gonna look good. Let's give that a shot. Trying to do the candy red experiment, but with green. See if we can get a candy green for the grenades. So let's go for yeah, Wild Flash should do the trick. Actually really curious to find out how it will stand out. It'll probably be a blobby, dirty mess, but alrighty. See ya, dude, and have a lovely rest of your evening. Oh, okay, good. Thank you for that. Sorry, I should have actually thought about it when I opened it, but slipped my mind. Wanted to... Oh yeah, check out Streamlabs if it's working. Seems to be. Whatever. Right, so let me just finish this cigarette, and then we'll try and make green gold, whatever that is. Hopefully it'll be a candy green. Most likely it's going to be a muddy mess. But here's us giving it a shot. Alright, so let's go for it. Let's try.
The last time I attempted to paint opaque colors over metallic was over 2 years ago, and I tried it with purple over silver metallic, but I didn't get purple thin enough. Just not mattering at all. This time, it'll be different. I think that's about as thin as I can get a GW paint without giving a shit. While this is drying, let's try from the other side. Okay. Maybe focus, How about that? Yeah, that is not horrible. Probably not something I would go for, but in the interest of adventurous painting, here is weird stuff you don't get to see often. It's a thing. I mean, I don't know what I was expecting, but there it is. I have to try and not completely cover the gold underneath. I was hoping to take advantage of the highlight buildup. Whatever. We're gonna stick with that. Not bad. Yeah, let's keep it. What's the worst they can? Whatever. This is what we got. dirty, muddied up, shiny green. I don't know. Doesn't look like it has place in this kind of color scheme, but it'll work. That's how we'll keep it. Okay, so is there anything that is way too orange? With the exception of this highlight, I think we're fairly good. Alright. So, you know what, let's put the first layer of washes on the base. And that's how we will be calling it a night for today. I want a really grimy and dirty base, mostly because I'm too lazy to do anything more intricate at this point. I've been doing the same for the other Goliaths. So we'll need ourselves good old Agrax and the holy elm oil. Get ourselves a nice big brush. Alrighty, thank you again very much for the raid and for hanging around. I'll be looking forward to the Battlefleet Gothic stuff, and have a very nice rest of your evening and a good night's sleep. Like I said, I will be walking out myself in just a little while. But I will go for one layer of washes right now, give them time to dry, so I don't have to do that again next time. Just going real heavy with it, like literally just dumping it on. No remorse whatsoever. And just drown it. All the golds in Agrax. And everything else in elm oil. Did you see the latest meme with the Mechanicus dumping the whole Titan in the elm oil vat? That's pretty much what we're doing with this base. I want it filthy. So what I'll do is wait for this to dry and go over the lower parts of the base with another layer of elm, and I'll give the golds another layer of. So you see here the raised parts I will keep with just the one layer of elm. Just force this detail separation with the second one. lazy and cheap way, but again, as far as bases go, I am not particularly creative. Alright, so that is actually all from me on the painting side of things this evening. Would you kindly recommend someone to read now? While I show off what we've got. So, not too bad so far. Next thing would be to go for a black line to force some of the details here on the greaves. In between, the metallic trim and the plates. And little bits and pieces over the metallics, because they will be matte. I will do them in matte varnish by the end. I want to put some black sketches in there to keep a little bit, to simulate non-metallic metal while not actually being non-metallic. Yeah, so just a little bit of that. And the red will get some scratches that I will also highlight, again with the black, and some ivory-ish color. Give it a little bit of something to look at, so it's not just this boring red, but that'll happen off stream. You'll probably just see pictures of the final result when I ever get to it. So again, do you have anyone that you would like to read? Let's see who we have online. We have Studio J7, Brush for Hire, Nerd404, Electric Eve, Glorious Badger, Primus, Monkeys with Fire, PG Mini Painting. Anything? Anyone? You know what? I don't think we've ever rated Rymius. And he is actually painting a Elven Union Blood Bowl team. So, I don't know about you guys, but I'm always up to see some Blood Bowl minis getting painted. So, if you don't have any other ideas, I'm going to send us straight over to Rymius. Alright guys, so thank you all for coming along, sticking around, putting up with my rants, rambles. Have a lovely rest of your evening, keep doing what you love, and loving what you do. I've been Bachikolio, and I will be back Monday. Now, bye bye guys.